Hello and welcome back to Turn Towards Love. In this teaching episode, we will be covering the 8 limbs of yoga. And first, we will talk about the Yamas. And that is the first limb of the 8 limbs. As outlined by the ancient sage Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras book, they are ethical disciplines or moral restraints that guide how you interact with the world and others. The Yamas are about cultivating compassion, integrity, and harmony in your relationships and actions. Why are they important? The Yamas provide a moral and ethical framework for living a meaningful and purposeful life. They help you develop self-awareness, respect, and harmony in your interactions with others and in the world around you. By practicing the Yamas, you create a deeper sense of peace, connection, and alignment in your life. How the Yamas shape your relationships. The Yamas act like a bridge between you and others, fostering healthy relationships and self-governance in how you engage in the world. They guide how you live in the world and treat others, ensuring your actions are rooted in kindness, honesty, and respect. So now I'm going to show you some photos and videos to help describe all 8 limbs of yoga. And so the first out of the 5 yamas is called Ahimsa. And so in Sanskrit or Sanskrita, the first yama is Ahimsa. And Ahimsa means non-violence. It's a practice of encouraging peace within ourselves and extending that peace outward to the world around us. And it's, I shall not hurt you, save the most, and harm the least. But Ahimsa isn't only about physical harm. It also includes the way we speak, the way we think, and the way we treat ourselves. Because often the first place we experience harm is within, through judgment of ourselves, pressure, or the way we speak to ourselves in difficult moments. So Ahimsa invites us to soften, to become aware of where we might be creating tension or harshness or any kind of resistance within us, and gently to choose something different, something more compassionate. So you can think, an analogy of this is thinking about Ahimsa like holding something very delicate in your hands, like a small bird. If you hold it too tightly, you'll harm it. If you're too careless, you might drop it. But when you hold it with care, awareness, and gentleness, it can rest safely. And in the same way, Ahimsa is about how we hold ourselves and how we hold others. Ahimsa begins the moment we choose not to be at war with ourselves. As they say, the war within ourselves equals the war outside of ourselves. So once we've healed that war and the pain and the discomfort and the insecurity and the lack of self-worth within ourselves, then, and the judgment that is placed on our beingness, then once we've healed that and we've turned all that to love, then outside and our lives externally will be a lot more at peace and harmony and in balance. And the second one is Satya, which means complete truthfulness in word, thought, and action. Don't manipulate. Truth as it is. Sometimes we hold back the truth because we don't want to hurt others. But often it's the absence of truth that creates more hurt over time. Have you ever thought, like, I wish I actually just said it. I wish I was just honest and truthful, because what's happened as a result of me not being so honest has actually made the situation way worse than what it was originally. And like the guilt or the fear or the unease you feel from not speaking the truth creates that resistance and lack inside ourselves. So Satya means truthfulness. It's the practice of being honest in our words and our thoughts, our actions, and not manipulating or distorting, but allowing things to be seen exactly as they are, raw, exactly as they are. But Satya isn't always easy, because sometimes we feel that telling the truth might hurt someone or create discomfort or even change something we're not ready to face. So instead, we might soften it or avoid it or not even say it at all. And in those moments, it can feel like we're protecting others, but often what creates more harm over time is the absence of truth. Because when truth is hidden, things can become unclear, misaligned, or misunderstood. It's the way we deliver that truth. And if there's fear about delivering truth, there is always a way to negotiate and to soften our approach in communication to be able to allow a beautiful conversation to flow if it's spoken from the heart and not the mind. So speak in truthfulness from the heart center. So when you speak truth, tap into the heart, breathe into the heart, and allow your flow to speak its truth. Also asks us to be honest with ourselves, to notice where we might be avoiding something, where we're not fully acknowledging how we feel, or where we're holding on to something that no longer feels true. And that kind of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's also where real clarity begins. When we begin to live in alignment with truth, there is a sense of lightness, a sense of inner freedom, because we're no longer holding on to things or trying to maintain something that isn't real. You know, being truth of who you really are. You can think of Satya like cleaning a window when the glass is clouded or unclear and we can't see things properly. But when we gently clear it, everything becomes more visible, more honest, more real. And even if what we see isn't always easy, it allows us to move forward with clarity. Truth may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but untruth creates discomfort that lasts. Like, I feel like we make a massive deal of what it is, sometimes, and it doesn't have to be that way. And then when we actually speak our truth, it's that relief and that shoulders drop and the sigh and the groundedness just comes back. It's like, oh, we're out of our mind and we've spoken our truth, and sometimes that may be hard for another, and that's okay, because we've done the right thing. So the next one is Asteya, non-taking, which means non-stealing of that which is not meant for us. So only receive what is freely given and honor what belongs to others. Okay, so Asteya means the non-stealing, so not taking what is not meant for us. And at a surface level, this can seem simple. Don't take what doesn't belong to you. It goes much deeper than that, because it's not only about the physical things, it can also show up in the way we take time, energy, and attention, or even recognition that is not ours. Oh, doesn't that hit deep? So it's the way we take time off others, or energy, or attention, or recognition for something that isn't ours. So we might take more off someone's time than they're able to give, or expect energy from others without considering their capacity. You know, it's like, oh, they've got all the energy in the world. Well, actually, no, we can't expect or presume or assume. We might compare ourselves to others, wishing we had what they have, or feel a sense of lack as though something is missing within us, you know, and in those moments, Asteya invites us to pause, to notice where that feeling is coming from. Often the impulse to take comes from a feeling of not having enough, not being enough. So instead of looking outward, Asteya gently brings us back inward to recognize that what we need is already within us. You can think of it like standing in a garden. If we keep trying to take from someone else's space, we lose connection to what's growing in our own. But when we stay present with what is ours and nurture it, we begin to see that there is already enough here. So we need to start watering our own garden. Asteya is not just about not taking. It's about not trusting that nothing meant for you will pass you by. So it is having that trust and faith in the divine that everything you need will come to you. Brahmacharya is the next Yamas, and this means becoming aware of the senses and gently guiding where our energy is directed, especially the sex drive. It's like devotee to the move to Brahma, the ultimate reality. It will mean sexual discipline, not celibacy. So it's often understood as celibacy, but its deeper meaning is about how we use and direct our energy. It's the practice of becoming aware of our senses, especially our desires. When those impulses for desire comes up, that sense of like grasping can occur, like you need it right now. You've got this feeling and this sense, and that desire has emerged, and it's learning how to work with them rather than being driven by it. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling this now and I want to act on impulse, act on urge, act on desire. But what if I don't? Because when you're being driven by it, you've lost your center point. You know, we've lost our center point if we are taken away by our emotions and our senses, and it can pull us all over, and it can be very messy and very painful in the process of that. So it's about harnessing the power of the senses. And doesn't that sound amazing? Like the power of that desire is super powerful. You feel it within you. And it's not about suppressing that or denying it even, but becoming conscious of where our energy is being directed. So in today's world, our attention is constantly being pulled in different directions through stimulation, distraction, desire, and often through excess. And over time, this can leave us feeling drained, scattered, or disconnected. It invites us to pause and ask, where is my energy going? And is it being used in a way that it truly supports me? Traditionally, it means to move in the direction of Brahman, which means the ultimate reality or higher consciousness. So rather than seeing it as restriction, like it becomes a redirection. So a way of bringing our energy back to alignment with something deeper than desire. To Brahman, to the higher self. So it can include sexual discipline, but not necessarily celibacy. It's about having a conscious relationship with that energy, not being controlled by impulse, but choosing how and when to express it in a way that feels respectful, balanced, and aligned. You can think of your energy like water. If it's constantly spilling out in different directions, it becomes scattered. But when it's guided and contained, it can flow with strength, purpose, and clarity. So it's about learning how to guide that flow. It's not about denying desire, but about not being ruled by it. Okay, so the next one is Aparigraha, which is to counter the habitat of possession, not holding on to things, returning to what we truly need rather than being led by endless wanting of things, like wanting material possessions constantly to get the fix of feeling like we have it and then the next minute we need it, something else, something new to kind of give us that feeling, to fill that void for a split second. It's like, but we need to learn to detach, not hold on to it, not grasp that. So this practice is about non-attachment or non-grasping. It's about not holding on to things, whether that's physical possessions, expectations, or even certain ways we think life should be. Like, let that go and get attached to the way you think life should actually be, because it would always mean you're living in lack if you are not experiencing that in any given moment. Counter to the habit of possession, and that's exactly what it is, because so often we hold on to things, to people even, and to outcomes and to identities, believing that if we keep hold of them, we'll feel more secure, more complete. But the more tightly we hold on, the more tension we create. We know that just by holding a fist, we create tension when we hold on tightly. And then when we let go, the tension's released and it's free. So the more tightly we hold on, the more tension we create. And sometimes the more we fear losing what we're actually trying to keep. So it creates more and more and more fear. So what this does is it invites us to soften that grip, begin to notice, do I really need this? Or am I holding on to it out of habit, fear, or attachment? It gently guides us to come back to what we truly need, rather than constantly reaching for more. Because when we're always chasing something else, we can miss out what is already here, what is already right in front of us. So again, another analogy could be like holding sand in your hand, and if you grip it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, like cup it can rest there with ease. And in the same way, when we loosen our grip on life, there is more space, more ease, and more flow. We just got to get past that fear in our minds that will think the opposite to that. So the less we cling, the more freely life can move through us. So in a nutshell, to bring this Yamas teaching to a closing of the first of the 8 limbs, we know that Ahimsa, the first Yamas, means softness. The second, Yamas, is Satya. Satya, which means honesty or truthfulness. And then the third Yamas is Asteya, which is trust. And then Brahmacharya means energy awareness. And then the last one, Aparigraha, which means letting go. So we're now going to leave this video with a sense of space and freedom. Thank you for being here, and may you always turn towards love. Okay, so now we'll bring everything together and I will pronounce for you in the best way I can you can hear people talk about yamas, or like the yamas and the niyamas. Yama, the yamas. And then the first yama is ahimsa. So we can hear these pronunciations very differently, and it's ahimsa. I am no professional in this, but learning through these Sanskrit words, I'm starting to pick up on the pronunciation and how it's different. So it's being aware that these words can be, people can say them very differently. And then there's Satya, Satya, Satya. And then the next one is Asteya, or people may say Asteya. And then the next one is, and people can pronounce this word very differently. So you can hear Brahmacharya or Brahmacharya, and you can hear it in so many different ways, but it's Brahmacharya. And so that's the next one. And then the last one, people may call it Aparigraha. So it's just got those subtleties, and I might not be saying it, I'm not an expert, but it's like Aparigraha. Okay, so that's all we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed going through the Yamas, and I think I say it differently every single time. So be sure to check out my other YouTube page with the meditation practices on there, and that's Turn Towards Love. It used to be called Route to Mindfulness, if you knew it as that, because I was a mindfulness coach and still am, and mindfulness is, my go-to, my priority. I love mindfulness, but to keep the brand intact, I have changed it to Turn Towards Love Meditations and Yoga. So be sure to head over to that page and check out some of those practices, and where you can also find in the descriptions my website if you want to purchase the longer practices. Okay then, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and may you always turn towards love. Yama is